A cinema, England. Tink was so happy she could burst. Her boyfriend had turned up at her house that morning to surprise her with a bouquet of flowers. And a trip to the cinema. Oh, he was so romantic, she thought with a sigh, as she munched on her popcorn. You know, a few of my friends are making a movie, he whispered. They were sat in 2 red plush seats at the very back of a packed movie theatre. All around them were couples, families and friends, all excited at the prospects of a brand new film. Oh, really? Replied Tink, slurping on her cola. We'll have to go and see it when it's out. Her boyfriend grinned at her as the screen flickered into life in front of them. Tink threw another popcorn piece into her mouth when suddenly the screen fizzled away into nothingness. That's odd, Tink turned to her boyfriend. But he wasn't sitting next to her anymore. His sweets had been discarded on his seat. She frowned. Sweetheart, she called out, where are you?
She sat aside her popcorn and began to sidestep along the aisle seats. Excuse me, she said, tapping on the shoulder of a man sat a few seats along from them. You haven't appeared to see my boyfriend, have you? The man snored in response. He must have drifted off, Tink thought. She slipped past him to ask a family a little further along if they'd seen him. They were also peacefully snoozing. Panic fizzled in Tink's belly as she hurried past more unconscious movie-goers. Every single person in the theatre was asleep. And where was he? Tink's heart thudded against her chest as the cinema screen began flickering, static and crackling loudly. A shopping centre in England. As unknown man 282 strode into the shopping centre, headed for the coffee shop to get his pint of milk, people gawped at his unusual appearance. He was used to the stares because he was a little different to your average everyday person. Instead of being human, he was walking, talking stick figure with mind-bending powers. Because of his epic abilities, he worked as a stuntman on films. The movie he was working on at the moment was a special one because it starred one of his 3 friends, Tomato Guy, Pizza Boy, and my favourite, Mr. Peas. But he had been flown back from filming for a short holiday. And right now, all he wanted was some milk to pour on his cornflakes. He whistled as he passed the television shop, the faces of the morning telly presenters smiling back at him. But in an instant, every screen went black. At the same time, there was a series of thuds behind him. Unknown man spun around, and he saw every other person in the shopping centre was snoozing around him. Unknown man 282 frowned, all thoughts of milk drifting away. He stepped closer. So his stick-figure face was almost pressed up at the shop window. With a hum, the TV screens in the shop flickered black and white. A hospital, England. Rose fiddled nervously with a cuff of her sleeve as she sat in the dreary hospital waiting room. Her tail curled protectively round herself. She was sat next to a boy around her age who, like her, had a furry tail. Whilst Rose was cat-like, the boy had a dog and bird features. Rose, a bespoke doctor, poked his head round the corner. Rose nodded, gathered up her bag, and followed him to the office. Your tests have come back and confirmed what we had expected, that you are part cat. Rose blinked back tears, although deep down she really wasn't surprised. She had long brown hair, which today was swept up in a ponytail, and liked wearing fashionable clothes, like a lot of normal girls her age. But also she had cat ears that poked out of the top of her head and a fluffy tail. Now, you're not alone. In fact, there are lots of people like you in the world, the doctor continued. Humans mix with kinds of animals and even more unusually other things like food, for instance. Rose nodded, hugging herself as the doctor spoke. Thoughts swirled round her head. I always knew I was different, she thought, but not this different. Us scientific types don't know an awful lot about why people like you exist. But what we do know is that many of you have incredible abilities and unique power to do good. He turned to his computer so that Rose could see the screen. On it were 3 famous superheroes. Mr. Peas was a massive pea, with legs and arms poking out of the green shell of his body and a wide grin across his face. Can everyone imagine Mr. P? Yeah? Good. Likewise, Pizza Boy was shaped like a giant slice of pepperoni and cheese pizza, and his friend, Tomato Guy, was a ruby red tomato. Hope flooded into Rose. If those 3 could be superheroes, maybe I could be as well. She smiled as she stared at the screen, but without warning, the image disappeared. Rose frowned. Doctor, I think there must be something wrong with your computer. She glanced back at the medical man and was shocked to see he was sound asleep at his desk. What the... Rose began. Pisa, Italy. The Lyre and the mixed creature performed a loop-de-loop, and far below the crowd went wild. It was the last performance of the day, and they were swooping round the historic Italian city of Pisa, doing almost impossible flying moves. It would have been completely impossible, but the Lyre and the mixed creature were special. They were animal-human hybrids. The Lyre was part lion, eagle, snake, and chicken. And the mixed creature was wolf, bird, turtle, and penguin combined. Now, they had just one move left. They simultaneously dove into a front twist somersault, the wind hissing around their ears, landing with a bow on the very tip of the world-famous Leaning Tower of Pisa. They waited for rapturous applause, but none came. Pisa had fallen silent. The mixed creature knitted his big eyebrows together in confusion. The Lyre frowned, his eagle eyes zeroing on his audience. They were all asleep. You're not all asleep, are you yet? No? Oh, goodness, thank goodness. Good, thank you, Rose, thank you. Okay. They were all asleep, curled up snoring on his historic pathways of the city. He pushed off from the tower, soaring towards the ground. The mixed creature followed him. As they landed, the mixed creature's gaze caught on a phone, dropped by one of the snoozing audience members. Look, he pointed to his friend. The screen had crackled, a static black and white pattern across it. As he stared, an ominous video appeared on his phone. Hello, remaining heroes of the world, sneered someone. The Lyre, the mixed creature, blinked. They were looking at the blurry images of 2 unusually looking people. One was a hard-boiled egg, and the other was a green pickle. We are Dr. Egg and Dr. Pickle, said the pickle-shaped person. And we are in the final stages of our mission to take over the entire world. We have already sent every person across the globe to sleep. And now our newly invented robot warriors will track down every superhero and defeat them. Right, let's hear everyone's evil laugh. 1, 2, 3, let's hear it. Right, I feel now this person needs to take over the story. Very good laugh, very good, very good. Very nice. I loved it. Wonderful. As Dr. Pickle's evil cackle reverberated in their ears, the Lyok and the mixed creatures were already hard at work, coming up with something to stop their evil plan. Using his excellent line-giving senses, the Lyok sniffed out the closest hero to them. A cat girl, he said to the mixed creature, in a hospital in England. Without further ado, they leapt into the air, their course set for England. England. After watching Dr. Pickle and Dr. Egg's evil video in floods of tears, Tink ran from the cinema, still searching for her boyfriend. Every single person she came across was asleep. As she ran through the beautiful greenery of Rosumere Park, Tink noticed shadows overhead. 2 green, huge creatures flew in the direction of the hospital. Tink wiped her tears on her sleeve and followed them. Unknown male 282 left the shopping centre, his fists clenched and face contorted in a scowl. He knew the only ones who would be able to stop the villainous Dr. Egg and Dr. Pickle was Pizza Boy, Tomato Guy, and Mr. Peas. But they were on the other side of the world, filming a movie in Japan. As he puzzled out what to do next, he spotted 2 flying creatures smashed into a hospital next to the shopping centre. Without thinking, unknown male 282 headed towards the crash. Before Rose could get her head around A, being told she was a cat girl, B, her doctor falling asleep, and C, the creepy video message that appeared on his computer, 2 creatures smashed through the window. The door to the doctor's office flew open and 3 people burst into the room. The wolf boy she'd been sitting next to in the waiting room, a stick man, and a crying girl. For a moment, they all stared in silence at one another. And then the robots arrived. 4 of them came out of nowhere, stomping into the office, shooting their laser beams at the heroes. An almighty growl escaped Rose's mouth, and she instinctively flew at the robots, claws first. The others followed her lead. The robots were strong, fast, and brilliant at fighting. They tore trunks out of flying creatures, smacked the crying lady in her tummy, and pinned the stick man on the floor. Only the wolf boy was holding his own. "Wait!" Rose shrieked, out of breath from all the fighting. "We should all work together. Let's split into 2 teams and focus on taking the robots down one at a time." The others nodded, and after joining forces, the 6 of them defeated the robots. But before they could reveal their victory, a mobile began to ring. "Hello?" The crying lady answered the phone. "Sweetheart, it's me," whispered the voice on the phone. "Your boyfriend. Where are you?" "I've been kidnapped, teleported into a secret lair at this place called Buncredible Burgers. I think it's somewhere in Japan. You have to rescue me before it's too late." The phone call cut off as the lady burst into tears again. "Don't cry. I think I might be able to help us," the stick man said, stroking his chin. "I happen to know a few heroes who are currently in Japan. One of them, Pizza Boy, is always hungry for food, fast food. I can use my mind-bending powers to influence him to stop for a meal at Buncredible Burgers. We just need to get ourselves to Japan. I'm unknown 282 man, by the way." "My name is Rose," muttered Rose shyly. "Diego," said the wolf boy, with a wave of his paws. "The Lyok," growled one of the flying creatures. "The mixed creature," said the other, placing his penguin arm around the Lyok. "And everyone, we can all fly to Japan." Meanwhile, on a private jet flying 330,000 feet over Japan, the plane sliced through white fluffy clouds of the Japanese sky, the passengers completely unaware of the chaos engulfing the world below. Mr. Pease, Tomato Guy, and Pizza Boy were the world's most famous superheroes. They had saved New York City from the evil Umbrella Man, released London from the grip of the dastardly Dagger, and even once rescued a very cute little cat who had gotten stuck up a tree. Their heroics had become so well known that a movie was being made about them. It starred themselves, of course, and a whole load of celebrities, including Meryl Streep. In fact, they were traveling on the plane to go and film the final scene of the film. Mr. Pease was busily driving the jet, Meryl and the other celebs were having a nap, and Tomato Guy and Pizza Boy were thoroughly hangry. A word that means you're so hungry, you're becoming angry. "I'm starving," said Pizza Boy. "I really could do with some fast food, like a kebab or fish and chips or even..." "Don't say it," interrupted Mr. Pease from the cockpit. "A pizza," Pizza Boy finished with a flourish. "But we're halfway to the next filming location. The beautifully snow-capped Mount Fuji," groaned Mr. Pease. Pizza Boy's stomach answered for him with an anguished, bell-deep growl. Mr. Pease sighed. "I suppose we could have a pit stop." "Yes," Pizza Boy cheered. "Hold on tight, everyone." Mr. Pease flicked a couple of levers and spun the control wheel to the left. The plane swirled and dipped downwards, its head nose down towards the building topped with a gigantic plastic burger. As the wheels of their jet touched the tarmac, they could read the luminous neon sign that sat above the door and said, "Buncredible Burgers." Meryl, wake up!" Tomato Guy shook the Oscar-winning actress by the shoulder. She snored even louder in reply. Tomato Guy frowned. "She's sleeping deeply," he thought. "She's probably just tired because of all of the night shoots we've been doing," said Mr. Pease. "Come on, we'll bring her back some." Tomato Guy nodded and followed Mr. Pease and Pizza Boy down the plane. Pizza Boy frowned. "It's oddly quiet, guys." He glared at the silent surroundings. The streets were empty. There were no cars on the ground. Even the shops looked deserted. "Oh, you worry too much," Mr. Pease nudged past him. "I'm sure everything will be completely fine. And look, the burger shop's still open." He pointed at the flashing light at the door. Pizza Boy's stomach grumbled. He really did fancy a burger. Banishing his worries to the back of his mind, he yanked open the burger shop door. His only thought whether he was going to order a triple cheeseburger spectacular or the bacon burger bonanza. His friends followed. What happened next took them all by surprise. Time seemed to shift into slow motion. And fast forward all at once, in a quick succession, 3 things occurred. 1, the bell above the door tinkled as the 3 superheroes stepped inside. Immediately saw something was wrong. Every human, from the girl cuddling the till like her favorite teddy bear, to the waitress sucking her thumb on the floor, to customers facing down their fries inside the shop, was fast asleep. 2, Dr. Pickles, Dr. Egg, and their legion of robot warriors were not. They sprang into action, grabbing hold of Mr. Pease, Pizza Boy, and Tomato Guy. Before they had the chance to throw a single punch, holding them tightly, they could barely move. 3, a monstrous machine gun made of twists of metal and a hulking barrel was wheeled from the shop's kitchen. "Ah, heroes! So good for you all to join us," wheedled Dr. Eggs. "We're proud to present to you our latest villainous device to take over the world." Dr. Pickles danced a few jazz hands. "The brilliant blueberry ray gun! They shouted in unison. It turns people into fruit. Blueberries. Dr. Egg hissed with excitement. And you're going to be our first test subject, Dr. Pickles added. Now, if I could just find the on-off switch. He frowned at his creation. How could you? Yelled Pizza Boy, shaking with so much rage that one of his pepperoni slices fell off. How dare you try and turn us into healthy food? This is the greatest betrayal of all. You won't get away with this, growled Mr. Peas. We already have, said Dr. Egg smugly, as he continued to fiddle with the ray gun. We defeated every single good guy in the world. We sent our robot warriors to deal with them. You three are the only ones that remain, but not for long. Ice-cold panic shot through all three friends. But before they could say a word or think of a plan to get out of this mess, Dr. Pickle kicked the ray gun and it whirred to life. "Ha-ha!" he said proudly. "There it goes. Now we just have to aim it." Together, Dr. Pickle and Dr. Egg turned the machine gun onto the heroes. Tomato Guy glared defiantly into the barrel. Mr. Peas was too busy trying to escape Robot's grasp. Pizza Boy scrunched his eyes closed and waited for the inevitable, being turned into blueberries. But the inevitable never came. Pizza Boy cracked one eye open. A group of heroes surged into the burger shop. Some of them were strangers. There was a cat girl, a flying creature, a wolf-bird hybrid. But Pizza Boy did recognize their friend, unknown male 282. Dr. Egg and Dr. Pickles cowed behind the food counter, leaving the blueberry ray gun spinning out of control, shooting beams in all directions. We've come to help you defeat Dr. Pickle and Dr. Egg's evil plan for the world domination, said unknown male, introducing everyone to one another. Mr. Peas turned and gazed into the robot warriors and their doctor overlords. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's teach these villains a lesson. Pow! Bam! Boom! Fists flew, claws scratched, powers zapped into burgers in nothingness. In short, chaos ensued. Mr. Peas sent a scatter of petit pois on the floor, intending to stop the Dr. Evil from getting the blueberry ray gun. Ah! At the same time, the mixed creature had rushed towards the block of the doctor's path, inadvertently slipping on Mr. B's frozen vegetable weapon. The mixed creature windmilled his penguin arms, tried to balancing himself, but he was too late. He clattered to the ground in a flurry of feathers and fur. Dr. Pickle cackled as he hopped over him, headed towards the machine. Mr. Peas began to apologize, but before he could finish, Rose collided with him, accidentally scratching him on the cheek with her claws. She hissed and threw herself back at the robot she was fighting. Ooh. Unknown male 282 dived to miss the laser beam of the blueberry ray gun, trying to fire back shots with his mind powers. Instead, he managed to hit the walls and ceiling, turning huge chunks into blueberries. Diego battled Dr. Egg, throwing punches and kicks at him. Tomato Guy and Pizza Boy were fighting each other over the last portion of cheeseburger and fries left at the burger shop. The burger shop staff and customers continued to snore. Tink ignored every battle. Instead, she rifled through the burger shop, flipping tables, upending counters, and sending ingredients flying into a relentless search of her missing boyfriend. Unfortunately, in the pursuit of her lost love, she managed to accidentally chuck a plate at the mixed creature's head. The burger shop spun in front of the mixed creature's eyes as he rubbed his throbbing bump on his noggin and sat in a pile of peas. Stop! Unknown male 282's booming voice suddenly reverberated round the burger shop, echoing in each and every hero's head. Everyone froze mid-fight. Rose stopped the robot, her hackles raised and her tail fluffed in anger. Diego wrestled with Dr. Egg. The evil supervillain's shell cracked in 2 places. The Lyok barred his snake fangs at Dr. Pickle, unaware of his powerful lion tail. Even Tink paused and turned her eyes, which flickered at unknown male 282. The only thing that moved was the out-of-control blueberry ray gun, which jerked out of the burger shop, occasionally hitting a snoozing customer with its laser and transforming them into a punnet of blueberries. We're not getting anywhere, unknown male 282 continued. There's no way out. Oh, will we ever be able to defeat the baddies? Oh. Rose knitted her eyebrows together in confusion. The Lyok shrugged his feather shoulders. Tink sniffed up her tears. We work together. Exactly, said the unknown male 282. That's what we need to do here, at this moment. We keep getting in each other's way, accidentally using our powers and abilities on the wrong people. We need a plan. Oh! Howled the mixed creature. That's a great idea, mixed creature. Maybe we can split into teams, exclaimed a slightly squished tomato guy from the shop window. The Lyok and unknown male 282. Why don't you focus on defeating Dr. Egg and Dr. Pickle's evil robots, said Diego. The unknown male nodded. I can zap them with my brain to short-circuit their handwriting. Then the Lyok can pick them with his evil claws and fly them to the middle of nowhere, where no one can hurt them anymore. The others murmured in agreement at this idea. Me and Tink could get the sleeping staff and customers to safety, Rose suggested shyly, her whiskers twitching. You could put them on our jet, said Pizza Boy. It's in the car park. There was another murmur of agreement. The mixed creature and I could tie up the bad guys, said Diego, whilst me, Pizza Boy, and Tomato Guy neutralize the blueberry ray gun, said Mr. Pease. Brilliant. That sounds like a plan. Unknown male 282 turned his attention on the nearest Dr. Pickle and Dr. Egg's robot warriors, zapping it with his mind. Warning, system malfunction, blared the robot. Destruction imminent. That's my robot voice. Okay. Just like that. There we go. Unknown male grabbed his metal midsection and tossed it up into the air for the Lyok to catch. As the Lyok swooped out of the burger shop with the robot, Tink and Rose heaved a snoring waitress towards the car park. The mixed creature passed them. Dr. Pickle had held it firmly in his jaws. He spat out a screeching supervillain, Dr. Egg, and pinned them both down with his powerful wolf paws. Woof, woof, woof! He barked pointedly at Diego, his banana tail wagging. Of course, I'll be back. Diego flew towards the burger preparation counter, grabbing chunks of cheese left to melt on the hob. Diego, can you pass me a knife, please? Asked Mr. Pease. Pizza Boy and Tomato Guy were puzzled at tangled wires in the rear of the ray gun. Diego rifled towards the cutlery drawer, retrieving a knife and lobbying it towards the superheroes. Tomato Guy snatched it out of the air. Diego raced towards the mixed creature, cheese stringing between his fingers. Using melted cheddar, they ran circles round 2 doctors, tying them up in knots of cheese. No! Screeched Dr. Pickles and Dr. Egg under their blinds. Our plan to take over the world is ruined! A triumphant Tomato Guy said as he sliced through a wire. The blueberry ray gun stopped jolting into almost nothingness. I think we've done it. I think we've ruined the robots and defeated the doctors. The heroes cheered and whooped. But before they could probably celebrate, the blueberry ray gun gave one last guttural groan. The cheers faded away as the violet laser beam shot out from the gun's barrel, hitting two evil doctors squarely. In a flash, both were transformed into blueberries. Rose began to giggle. Diego let out a snigger. Even unknown male 282 grinned lopsidedly. And soon, everyone was in fits of laughter. So much laughter, they almost missed Tink prizing open a fridge and a muscly, tattooed man falling out of it. "I found you! Tink!" he exclaimed. "I always believed you would rescue me. Shall we book a mini break to celebrate our reunion? I fancy a beach holiday, maybe Brazil." Tink plastered a gigantic smooch on her boyfriend. "Yuck!" groaned everyone else. The end.